If that information was there, it's pretty clear that the man who did this at this Safeway on January 8th of 2011 would have failed that background check.
Be bold, be courageous, please support background checks.
Former Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords and her husband Mark Kelly pushing for background checks yesterday, and they did so in Tucson at the very same grocery store where Jared Lee Loughner opened fire in 2011, killing 6, wounding 13, including Giffords, who was shot in the head. Legislation on background checks, just one of the votes pending in the Senate's Judiciary Committee. And this morning, that committee approved a bill to crack down on illegal straw purchases of guns. The bill passed the committee 11-7. Only one Republican voted in favor of it. But there might be some more GOP support for the measure by the time it reaches the full Senate, and we expect that vote probably sometime in April. The proposal, the first of 4 measures that make up a gun control package that are all to be voted on separately, at least in this committee. Votes on assault weapons ban, a ban on high-capacity ammo magazines, and expanded background checks will probably be delayed again in the committee until next week. In the meantime, we're starting to get a sense of where the public is on these issues. Most Americans say they support stricter gun laws, 51%. Most Americans say they support an assault weapons ban with a little more support, 54%. Also, high-capacity ammo mag ban, that's also at 54%. And there is overwhelming support for universal background checks. But, and this is the one that blew me away, you see those numbers, when people are asked who they trust more on gun policy, they say, we trust Republicans in Congress more than we trust the president. It's a close number there, 44 to 42, but Tom, that's the number that sort of threw me a little bit. I support the policies that Obama supports, but I trust the Republicans more.
Well, because I think that there is an overwhelming fear that if the president had his way, he would just go completely overboard and take away everybody's guns. I think that's what that number shows a little bit. But it does strike me that the one that is the universal background check, everybody should get on board with this, with the idea, though, quite frankly, that I think that outside of a shooting here or there, that is not your real problem in this country. But I think we should do it either way. I mean, I just think that and the Republicans would be smart, quite frankly, to say, okay, listen, everybody should be checked. And quite frankly, we should be checking whether or not people are medicated or not. You know, are people on antidepressants? Or are they on different types of drugs that would, maybe, cause a problem, as we know? So that's the issue that I think Republicans really should rally behind, just because it makes common sense. But again, you're not going to stop the illegal handguns in this country, and that's the real problem in our inner cities.
I don't know what's wrong tonight, but we agree again.
Oh, no.
Because if they don't get behind at least the background checks, they will be seen as obstructionists. And that's not a good thing. They'll also be seen, more importantly, as siding with the NRA. And that's not a good thing right now. I mean, that may be good for a few select members that are looking to not face a primary, but for the entire party, I'm hoping still that they go along. I know I'm over the cliff here in terms of I want the full package. Sure. I think America wants the full package.
And what's the full package going to solve? We could have this debate for a long time, Dominic. I mean, you know that I've been sort of really reasonable on this gun thing, but you make like the NRA is really a hated organization. Go look at national polls. I mean, very much like the last one between the president and the House. NRA is very, very well regarded in this country.
That's a stretch. If
an assault weapons ban, which is probably the most controversial of the things that's being debated right now, even if it only saves one life, isn't that enough to justify having an assault weapons ban, or at least have a serious debate on it? But
no, because I mean, listen, I think that the saving of one life is always because you got the president of the United States dropping drones on families overseas. Now, I understand it's a war on terror, but how many kids have been killed by his drone strikes overseas? That's one life. I'm making the point is I think the one life is too simplistic. I think that we want to save every life. We get that. But again, how many instances, show me a fact where this assault weapons ban has saved anybody's lives. I have not seen. I mean, Joe Biden even said to the Senate colleagues, I'm not quite sure this assault weapons will save anybody's life.
But how can anybody prove that? Because if I say to you, well, you don't, person X doesn't have an assault weapon, right, so we don't know if he or she was going to kill somebody or not. I mean, it seems like it's impossible to prove that ban would.
Andrew,
would
you know that I'm sort of taking another side here that I sort of believe half-heartedly. When you show some of these weapons on the air, and I think some of them look scarier than they actually are when you get down to the technicalities of all of them. I mean, I'm all of the belief that some of these weapons don't belong in people's hands. But again, the ones that generally buy these weapons, the 99.9% that have them, are really well-armed, well-trained professionals, who have long training. I have a lot of friends who belong to the NRA who are instructors who, this is what they do, etc.
Have you ever had a loaded gun pointed at you?
No.
Have you?
A loaded gun pointed at me?
Yeah.
I don't want to answer that question, and the reason why I don't want to answer the question is the only time it's happened is when a police officer, when I was 16 years old.
You just answered it.
No, I didn't. I didn't want to. I didn't want to. No.
What was his shield number?
But we were just running up the street.
Yeah.
No.
Did you think he was going to shoot you?
No, it was standard operating.
Right.
But it doesn't matter.
You have a gun pointed at you.
Of course, no matter
what the gun is, no matter who's holding it, it's scary no matter what.
No question about that. I understand that. But again, the same people I'm talking about aren't the ones you got to worry about in this country. They're not going out to kill somebody. They're just not.
So this show is live. You completely caught me off guard. And for a second, I didn't know how to respond there.
I mean, my concern is that, so many of these things that are talked about, I really don't think get to the heart of the problem. I think we have.
But then
wait, we have.
If they don't get to the heart of the problem,
Dominic, do you
why
know?
does the Republican Party block it then?
Dominic, go talk to your friends in the Democratic Party. When you look at the people who have failed background checks, who have carried illegal guns, etc., in the tens of thousands, how many have been prosecuted? Go start prosecuting the criminals in this country.
Well, why can't we do both?
Right.
I think we should, but again, why can't we just prosecute the people we've already caught? And I'm fine with the background checks. I have no problem with that at all.
Either we're doing everything to try to solve this problem or we're not doing enough. I mean, if it's a problem, if it's a big enough crisis that we need to take action, you do everything.
But again, is it a crisis? I mean, if you look at the numbers and you go back, and I'll throw out the numbers a little bit, okay, is that I think, 1 year, 30-some-odd thousand gun deaths in this country, 20-something 7,000 of them were suicides.
Fair enough. And
that's my only point.
That's a valid point.
That's my only point in holding. Is this such a crisis in a country of 350 million people? Now, on that side, if you showed me a way to save a life that we knew, again, that we could save a life, I'd be all for it.
I just suspect that there's, 26 families in Newtown and
I know you've got to move on, but can I just throw this on the table? Is it a coincidence that most politicians, Republican and conservative Democrats, that support the Second Amendment and to carry guns, I mean, follow the money. That's what I'm trying to say. Follow the money. That's all you got to do.
Dominic, I think that you'd follow the money on the other side. Who are the Democrats who took a lot of money who've done nothing on guns over the years? The Republicans tend to be the ones who've grown up with them. They know about them. They're comfortable with them, etc. They don't need to be bought off in an election to support guns. That's their instinct to support hunters and gun owners and outdoorsmen, etc.
But we're not talking about hunters. And again, I return to the argument. I know we've got to take a break, but and having lived upstate, as we all have at one point or another, rural areas, how many assault weapons does it take to hunt a deer?
Dominic, then let me ask you this question.
Why do you need something that can shoot?
Let's leave the crowd with this.
Okay.
When the president was elected, he controlled the House and the Senate. Why did he? Dominic, well,
you know why?
Why?
Because if you were advising him,
why?
If you were advising him, you would have said,
so
Mr.
then
President,
he's the one you worried about.
You would have said,
you would have said,
Mr. President,
why didn't
don't touch this political hot potato. Don't use your capital until down the road a little bit.
There was no appetite for it before Newtown. Now Newtown's happened and there is an appetite for it. So
I think great leadership.
But I think looking back.
I mean, but wait, but you know what's crazy about this? One of their own in Congress. I mean, I think it's so courageous with the Congresswoman to listen to her as she's trying to regain her speech. One of their own was shot, and they still won't stand up to the NRA.
People's attitudes, people's attitudes on this are changing. I think to criticize President Obama for not doing anything in 2009 when the country didn't have the same appetite for gun control, I think that's a little unfair. We're going to take a quick break. I get the last word in this segment. When we come back, we look ahead to 2016. Oh, this won't start another argument on the panel. Many of the potential candidates are from right here in our region. Take a look at the screen. Is there a president up there? If so, which one? We're going to get those answers coming up. And later, we're going to hear from the head coach of the New York Football Giants, the guy who Tom wants to run for president, Tom Coughlin. We're going to talk about the next Super Bowl. Is he prepping the team because it's at his home stadium? And also the coach's new book. Stay with us.